As its name suggests, Rhythm Sprout is a short and sweet rhythm game that surprised me when I played it this winter. I remember checking out someone's stream of the game when it was first released and thinking it looked promising, so I added it to my wishlist and later purchased it for myself during a sale. I enjoyed my time with it for the most part and wanted to make a video and talk about it, so I hope you enjoy. The premise of Rhythm Sprout is a simple one. The titular character Sprout is summoned by King Broccoli in order to save his daughter Princess Cauliflower from the evil candy people. During your journey you come across a suite of strange and quirky characters that provide tidbits of information to guide you on your journey across the vegetable kingdom. There are a few pop culture references scattered in here, but they seem very specific, and if you aren't into these particular things, then it will be lost on you like it was for me. For some reason, there wasn't any established story reason that I came across as to why everything is played as a rhythm game, aside from the fact that the main character dons headphones the entire time. Luckily, I don't play rhythm games for the story, so while it's great to have some substance to contextualize the story through the different levels, it's the gameplay that I'm more interested in, and I'm happy to report that Rhythm Sprout is a solid time. At first glance, it might seem really simple based on the footage you're seeing, and you'd be correct in thinking that. The game uses a 3-button control scheme for the rhythm gameplay, which makes it easy to anticipate and digest. That's not to say that the game is a pushover though. Difficult patterns are introduced as you progress, and they managed to scramble my brain on a few occasions by delivering longer note strings and mixing up the note patterns. Each left and right note that you hit, represented in red and yellow, will progress Sprout on his route by either taking a step toward the goal, or a weapon swing at an enemy, while offering points based on your timing. The third note type is Dodge, represented in blue, which when hit will avoid damage taken while providing no points. If you do end up missing a dodge note, you will take HP damage, and when this bar depletes, it will be game over for you, so it's in your best interest to prioritize these notes during complicated sections. This is something I had to do during the more difficult levels as I couldn't always interpret the note strings. You are able to restore a bar of health after hitting a certain number of notes so you can keep yourself going. Don't worry if you struggle with these types of games, because a beginner toggle is available which makes every note a single button, so you can just play along with the rhythm without worrying about alternating your button presses in accordance to the notes. There are also decoy notes highlighted in grey which are there to try and trip you up, but they don't inflict damage when hit, they just end your combo streak. But I found that if you just keep to the rhythm of the song, then these will be largely an ignorable mechanic in the game. I really like this approach to the gameplay, as the only drawback from not inputting left and right notes is not progressing and receiving points. This allowed me to get through later levels by specifically going for the blue notes in tricky situations, which provided some much needed breathing room to get to grips with what the game wanted me to input. You can also activate an ability once per level which will make all notes one button and will be worth extra points for a limited amount of time, which when used strategically during sections with plenty of dodge notes or tricky strings will boost your score greatly. There are a total of 30 levels to play through, 20 for the main campaign, 5 for the prequel which offers a more difficult finale, and 5 bonus levels. Once you clear a level, you are given some modifiers to apply to the song to keep things fresh and mess with the difficulty. You have the option to increase the speed of the song to really test your muscle memory and knowledge of the song. You can activate mirror mode and play the song with the notes inverted, and you can toggle a randomized notes mode which is great for keeping things fresh. I found it to not be as enjoyable, as the levels didn't quite have the same flow to them like the original handcrafted note maps have. While it's nice to have these options to spice up the gameplay, I didn't find myself wanting to use them beyond going for the achievements related to playing them a certain amount of times. I never felt like I needed to extend my playtime with Rhythm Sprout, as I had plenty of enjoyment in the 4 or so hours I played just getting to the end and going for the achievements. Let's talk about the scoring system now, as before purchasing and reading through the forums, this seemed to be a common topic of contention which could dissuade you from trying the game. It seems a good few people had difficulty getting 3 stars for score, but I really believe if you take the time to understand how the scoring system works and use your ability in a suitable section, then this wouldn't be as much of an issue as it's been made out to be. I know I personally had much more difficulty with the note streak stars. Upon completing a level, you will gain stars based on your performance. Up to 3 stars will be awarded for your longest note streak, and a further 3 for your total score. Obtaining all stars in a level will grant you a CD, which unlocks a new character or weapon skin, which keeps you incentivized to go for everything and increase the replay value. Now that we've gone over the gameplay of Rhythm Sprout, I want to bring attention to the beautiful, vibrant art style of the game, which is unfortunately, in my opinion, wasted. What is it with these character designs? Everyone except for Sprout is just hideous. Huge noses with hair poking out of the ends. I mean, sure, there's a vision here, and they rolled with it, but my god, I could have done with something other than this. But that's just my personal preference on the matter. And now for arguably the most important part of any rhythm game. How is the music? Well, I'm happy to report that there is a decent variety of genres on display, and for the most part the soundtrack ranges from decent to great, which keeps things engaging and complements the rhythmic gameplay well. I do have to applaud the game for its use of dynamic music when you encounter an enemy during a level. The music transitions smoothly to and from a more intensified section of the song between encountering and defeating an enemy, which I found was a really nice touch. I sadly won't be gushing about the soundtrack like I usually do in my other videos, because nothing really captivated me enough to want to listen to it outside of the game. But I can at least applaud the fact that it works well for the context in which it's needed within the game. So to summarise my thoughts on Rhythm Sprout, I can confidently say that I enjoyed my short time with it and what it had to offer. It knows what it wants to be and doesn't try to be the next hardcore rhythm game. The pros definitely outweigh the cons, and it provided a competent rhythm game experience, albeit a limiting one. And without having extra note charts with extra buttons thrown into the mix to increase difficulty, it can only provide new challenges with its randomizer and other modifiers, which, as I went over earlier, wasn't quite enough to sustain further gameplay for me. But again, that's not the kind of game that Rhythm Sprout set out to be, and that's perfectly okay. I would recommend picking this game up if you're a fan of rhythm games and need to scratch that particular itch, as it certainly worked for me when I needed it. And that's about all I have to say for this one, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have played Rhythm Sprout or intend to, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I would love to hear about what you thought of it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.